Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're reacting to 5 scary animated horror stories from the YouTube channel Scary Animated Stories. Let's get on with the video.
I'm 14 and I had an extremely creepy experience with someone I wish to forget. I frequented a small local grocery store. They had a brand of coffee drinks in the back that I particularly enjoyed. I never had any problems there. Just went in, got my coffee, and gave the clerk a $5. You'd think with a routine as simple as that, nothing could possibly go wrong, right? Sadly, that's incorrect.
Yeah, it's obvious.
One day, I went in hankering for a vanilla flavor of the coffee I liked. I made my way through the usual aisles of the store, passing the seasoning and spices section, then the chips aisle, before making my way to the back where they stored milk, eggs, etc. Just as I was opening the cold door to grab my coffee, I noticed a large shape next to me just behind the door. I could tell it was a man from the shape, but the condensation on the door was blocking any detail. Instinctively, I shut the door, having never grabbed my coffee. Then I took in the sight of the strange man. His hair was long and as black as it was straight. It appeared greasy, just like his skin. He looked to be in his late 20s and was immediately off-putting. Then he spoke to me. "Got any change?" He asked in a voice I could barely hear. No," I managed to say. "I don't keep any cash on me." I lied. This is something I saw my dad say to a homeless person once,
That's the right thing to
though
say.
he was honest when he said it. "Don't you lie to me, you little piece of garbage." He said in a lowered tone now,
Knows you lied?
and I could tell he was
How?
mad. "I've seen you come in here before," he hissed at me. Not knowing what to say and terrified, I turned and ran back to the entrance. He never followed, but I still ran the
Hey, get out
entire
of there.
way
Get out
back
of there. You don't want
home.
to be in there now. No way.
As the weeks passed by, I soon stopped thinking about the incident. Though I never forgot about it. How could I?
Well, yeah.
It was so unexpected
didn't
and
forget.
weird.
Oh yeah, it's impossible to miss one.
Well, one evening I was chilling in my room. I had my phone next to me on vibrate, right next to my sketchbook. Suddenly it began to go off. Without looking, I picked it up, answered it, and said hello, thinking it was my friend Jacob who I was expecting a call from. "Hi, Steven."
Okay.
Immediately I recognized the voice.
That's the guy?
My entire body was chilled, my
the
heart
guy's
pounding. "How did you get my—" I tried to reply.
Oh
"There's
my,
no kindness
oh
left in
my
the
god,
world."
guys. It's the guy.
"How do you know my name?" I shouted at him.
What? How do you know
Steven,
that?
you're a little liar.
Stranger.
I don't like it when people lie. You want to know what I do to people who lie? Quickly, I hung up. Moments later, it began to ring again, but I ignored it, absolutely horrified. Freaking out, I ran to my mom and told her what was happening. We blocked the number via our phone service, and she gave me a good talking to, telling me that if I ever encounter anyone like that again, she needed to know about it immediately, before it got to that point. Luckily for me, nothing has happened since. But considering it was so recent, just a few months ago, I'm still afraid he'll call from a different number.
May I have it again?
Or worse, appear at my doorstep.
What's worse? OMG. That's
After an appointment I had, my mother and I went into a shop called Ned's. We walked around Ned's for a while, looking for something that I'd like to buy. We must have spent about 20 minutes just walking around. After that 20 minutes or so, we got a call from what I thought was my dad. My mother answered the call. My dad asked where we were and she said, "At Ned's at the shopping center." He replied, saying that he'll be there soon. 10 minutes later, he called again, saying, "Where are you?" My mother answered, "I told you we're at Ned's." And that's when things start to get really creepy. "You never told me you were at Ned's," he said.
What?
My mother replied, confused.
Didn't he
"Yes,
call
I
you?
did. Yes, we did." "No, you didn't," my dad said. "I'm at here, the clinic." "But I said we're at Ned's," my mother exclaimed. My dad sighed and said, "All right, I'll be there soon." A few minutes
what was
later,
the
he
phone
arrived
call?
at the shop. He came in and had a conversation with my mother. She checked her phone call history to show him that he had called and that she had in fact told him previously that they were at Ned's. What she found was a contact at the same exact time that she had picked up that previous call, but it was not my dad's number. What's even
What?
creepier was
Not-
who the number belonged to, but my dad's recently passed brother, who sounded exactly like him. My only explanation for this is that maybe it was him from the other side. Maybe he doesn't know he's dead yet. Brother and I went to Target at the nearby mall. As soon as we got there, my sister said that her and my mom will be looking at movies, so Alex and I looked around, Alex being my brother. We went to see the Halloween decorations, messing around and trying a few of them on. Nothing really scared us at the time. It was more funny than scary. Then my brother and I headed back to where my mom and Ava were, Ava being my sister. That's when we heard a phone ringing. My brother and I looked around thinking it was someone's cell phone, and they were just ignoring it, which was beginning to get annoying. As we continued to try to ignore it, we soon saw where it was coming from, and at first we couldn't believe it. It was coming from a toy phone, one that sensed you were close to it and would ring if you've got it on. Alex walked up to it, having a joke in mind. He picked it up and said hello, with a conniving little smile on his face. I didn't find the joke amusing, and then things took a sharp turn for the horrifying, because we both heard a voice coming from the other side. Help me, please." It was loud enough that I could hear it clearly from where I was standing, despite not holding it up to my ear like Alex was. Speaking of whom, Alex had a horrified look on his face. He was just staring off into the distance, in complete and utter disbelief that he had heard something on the other side. Something that should not be said on a children's toy. I remember watching him pull the phone from his face, looking it over, up and down, back and forth. "This toy, it's not Halloween themed." "Of course it's not," I said. "It's in the kids' toy section." But, he tried to say, "Why would it say that when you held it up to your ear?" I shook my head. He put the phone down, and we ran out of there, finding our mom and sister, begging them to leave.
Oh my god.
To this day, we do not know why the toy said something like that, or even if it was the toy, not something else. But it's definitely a memory that will always live on in my mind. Somewhere out there, there's a spirit who's suffering, and on Halloween, it calls for help.
13 when this happened. I was home alone and my parents had gone out to dinner. I was a very bored kid, so when my parents left me home alone, I would play my Xbox on the TV in the living room. It was a Friday, and I was playing a game on my Xbox when my phone rang. It was a number which I had never seen before. I paused the game, and out of curiosity, I answered the call. I said hello into the phone, but there was no answer. I hung up and continued my game, but the same number called back. I let it ring for a bit before answering it for the second time. I said hello again in a kind of annoyed voice, but there was still no response. I then said, "Listen to me, don't call this number again, buddy." I was about to hang up when I heard a man's voice on the other end say, "You should really keep your bedroom window closed." I thought it might have been a joke, so I told him, "I never leave my bedroom window open," and I hung up the phone. I took a break from my game and went to go charge my phone, but I remembered that I had left my charger in my room.
Take a break.
I walked over to my room to go get it. I opened the door and found my charger on my nightstand and grabbed it. However, while I was in the room,
Great, now you can...
I noticed something else.
What?
I felt a cool breeze in my room,
What did
and I
you
know the
notice?
AC wasn't on because I never turned it
Cool
on.
breeze.
It was my window. My window was
was it?
wide open. It then
But you
hit
never
me,
have it open.
the phone
Like
call.
what?
I ran back to the living room and called 911. When the cops arrived, they investigated.
Oh my god.
There wasn't really much they could do though. They just said whoever it was surely gone.
Obviously.
I called my parents and they came home and talked to the police.
God.
I still don't know what the guy's intentions were, but I really don't want to know. I was 15 when this happened, and this still haunts me till this day. Let me explain. I was at home on a Friday, I believe, and I had just finished up some homework and looking forward tomorrow to hang out with a few friends. I was on my phone talking with my friend when all of a sudden, a number that I didn't know called. The call was coming from the state of Idaho. I answered it and thought it was a scam call, but I was dead wrong. I asked, "Hello?" in a confused tone. I then heard what sounded like a child, I'd say around 9 or 10, say something along the lines of, "Help, please. I've been kidnapped for 2 years." I felt my blood turn to ice as he said this. He said his kidnapper was outside doing something, so he called for help. I told him to call 911 immediately and to explain the situation. He said he wanted to, but afraid his kidnapper would find out. I told him I would call for him. I asked for his name, but before he could tell me, I heard him scream in fear, and then the phone hung up. I immediately called 911 and explained everything. I gave the police the number the boy had called from. I explained to my parents, and the police ended up coming to our house for questioning. A few weeks later, the police had told us that the number led to a house in Idaho. Unfortunately, they told us they did not find the kidnapper. I still don't know whatever became of the boy until my mom brought it up to me a few years later. She said the police told her something that I never knew about. What she told me will always haunt me. The cops had told her that they found the boy dead close to a nearby river in a wooded area.
What?
The boy
Oh my
had cuts
God.
on his face and he was brutally tortured. Whenever I see on the news that a child or anybody who has gone missing or found dead, I still think of that little boy.
Oh my god, guys, those were some insane videos today. So in the link below, I'll have a link to my main channel, and I have finally got a Discord, and I will link that below too, guys. And I'll see you guys in my next video.